Hello everyone, Praisedscooter here, and welcome to Yearly Tradition at this point where I talk about my top 10 games from the year. 2016 specific has been a pretty depressing year, though I won't name anything specific. Thankfully, we always have video games to turn to relieve our stress. Now something I do want to make very clear here about this top 10 list, and well, pretty much I make about every top 10 list I do. This is just a personal opinion. This doesn't mean it's a blanket statement for everybody else out there in the internet. It's just my personal opinion on what I thought was great from this year. So with that all set aside, let's get started. My top 10 games of 2016. First up is some honorable mentions. These are just some games that I have spent some time playing recently that either I haven't had enough time to play to give a good review of the game in question, or they came out in a previous year and I've just now found the time to sit down with them and have sunk a lot of time into them. With all this said, the first honorable mention goes to Crypt of the Necrodancer. My history for roguelikes runs deep. Ever since The Binding of Isaac came out several years ago, something to note is that I was the very definition of a music geek in high school. Band, pep band, jazz band, marching band, choir, and show choir. Suffice to say, the combination of one of my favorite genres with the musical teachings of how to keep a beat made Crypt of the Necrodancer a match made in heaven for myself. The game itself is simple in control and concept, using nothing but the arrow keys for movement, combat, item usage, etc., but in execution, it forces you to either think on the fly with split-second reactions, or plan out all your movements far in advance, as you must keep the beat to get the most reward from your enemies. Or, try and do both of those things at once. There's also mod packs for this game, and the ability to add your own music if you feel the need to. But the game's already set in stone soundtrack is impeccable as it is. The next game on this list is Distance. Distance is a simple racing game on the surface. As you play it, you learn about many features that make this game stand out from all other racing games and games of this sort. Wall riding, flips, jumping, flying, and balancing all of that to not overheat your vehicle as you attempt to race for the fastest time against yourself or against your friends. Much like the previous game I mentioned in these honorable mentions, there is custom track support in the game, so anyone can make a track for you to play and or try. Another honorable mention goes to Grow Home. This game is a stark contrast to the last two I have mentioned, but this is a calm game about exploring an alien planet, growing a plant to the heavens for reasons? I can't really say what it is specifically that makes this game about a noodle-legged robot collecting crystals entertaining. I guess it's mostly just the calm nature of it with exploration. No time limit whatsoever, no real constraints. You can do 90% of whatever you feel like in the game. And my last honorable mention goes to Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. A side-scrolling shooter from yesteryear that is very responsive with some mechanics borrowed from recent shooters, such as kicking to get yourself some space between you and your enemies. The 1920s mafia aesthetic is what makes this game charming, as all your character is trying to do is get a guy out of a zombie-infested territory at the request of your Don. It's just a nice callback to Contra without specifically being Contra. Now that we have all that out of the way, let's get on to the top 10 games themselves. Number 10. Enter the Gungeon is my number 10 pick. This game is a standard roguelike as roguelikes get. It also has a culmination of everything that needs to happen in a game to make it stand out from all other peers in its category. A ridiculous yet feasible plot, a unique combat system, and an ever-increasing difficult dungeon, as well as some weird, unique choice weaponry. Everything about this game screams out to someone out there in terms of what genre they like. It's a little bullet hell, it's a lot of roguelike, it's a little gun enthusiast, it's a little tactics, it's got a little bit of everything in there. This game itself is a masterpiece, with an amazingly strong soundtrack to back it up. Number 9. Sometimes simple is better, and that is definitely the case for my number 9 pick, Blitzbreaker. In my mind, Blitzbreaker was a game that set out to be another Super Meat Boy type of game, but dialed it back in terms of graphical detail. This game is simplistic enough that you would not be surprised if it was a mobile game, but complex enough that sometimes you need that extra power of a computer or your laptop to push through certain visual effects. Flinging your body carelessly at walls while attempting to plot out your next move, and attempting to do it faster and faster just to get a better rank and better time. A solid platforming game that has so little to it, but so much going for it, is really all we can ask from an indie game studio and from the game itself. And Boncho Games delivers that in spades. Number 8. Mario Party as a series has left fans pretty hurt recently. But Mario Party Star Rush, my number 8 pick, may have fans singing a different tune. Mario Party Star Rush has done what a lot of recent Mario Parties have done and tried out a brand new format. Everyone moving at once and actually leaving it in the player's hands if minigames will happen that turn or not. Basically a best of both worlds situation for people who don't want constant minigames and those that do. What I love that they did was have so many modes that you can try and find out which mode is your favorite. There's the new style mode where it's a free-flowing grid that lets you move however you wish. The Coinathlon, which is strictly a minigame battle. Balloon Burst for those that want the more traditional minigame every turn, race to a star space style that the older Mario parties did. And many more side modes that will keep anyone happy for an extended period of time. The thing that I like about this game the most, besides that there's countless modes to play, is that you can have 3 friends download play the entire game. Harkening back to the classic Mario parties on N64 and GameCube, where only one person has to own the game, but everybody else can gather around and play on that one person's system and play the whole thing for free. Although this type of game may take a while to piece together with all of its different playstyles and modes, I really do hope Nintendo will take this type of Mario Party and improve on it for future installments of the series. Number 7. The Grim have descended upon the world of Remnant. Will you run, or will you face them? In my number 7 pick, Ruby, Grim Eclipse. Ruby as a series is a very interesting series that is a part of the anime world, while doing its own thing with unique weaponry and the stuff in a Western style. The game Ruby is a beast of its own creation as well, that somehow manages to meld several game archetypes into one large multiplayer experience. Choose your favorite character, battle the Grim in a beat-em-up style game, and as you fight, you level up your special skills as if you were playing a MOBA, all while escorting something or defending an objective from a current era shooter type of objective, and exploring the world of Remnant for secrets and collectibles. Now through that last paragraph, you heard beat 'em up. So this game does get a bit of a pass for me because that is my favorite game genre. But I love that Rooster Teeth took one of their best IPs and used it to make their very first game. I'm mostly rambling on at this point and blurring the line between the show and the game itself. The simple endgame of that thought is this: both are great, I like punching things, give me my shotgun gauntlets, I'll see you online. Number 6. My number 6 pick is Pokken Tournament. Pokken Tournament? Whatever, Pokemon Fighting. A little while ago, I had made a video expressing my love for the game, so I'm going to paraphrase that video as to why this game is where it is on this list. Pokken Tournament is a fighting game that broke most of the conventional ideas and modes of a fighting game and how a game teaches you how to play it. It broke the mold of a fighting game by making the game about positioning and causing a playstyle shift as quickly as possible in a rock, paper, scissors special attack format. More of a strategic, mind game sort of game to play, rather than the traditional fighting game flick of the wrist reactions. What I like is that it does have normal training as well, scenario training, and even trains you procedurally as you play the story mode of the game. It doesn't force you through a 30-minute tutorial either, making how you learn the game your own prerogative. The game also handles multiplayer in a very well-structured way, where you can set up a queue for online battling of sorts, but also if you're playing in a local LAN battle between two systems, you are not forced to unlock everything in the game in order to play it as it's intended in a, well, competitive environment. Everything will be unlocked 100% when you hook up two systems together. And speaking of all those unlocks and those additional characters you get, the game is still seeing support with the addition of characters Krogunk, Empoleon, Caesar, and Darkrai. Really, it's a complete package of a fighting game for those who are tired of the Smash Brothers and Street Fighters. Number 5. Number 5 on this list is going to go to Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. Now, I love the first game. Absolutely adored it. It was simple, and it kept an old game intriguing to those of us who have grown out of or up from Pac-Man's simple roots. Championship Edition 2 decided to go with a formula that rewarded you micromanaging your level progression and score multipliers to get the best score possible without so much focus on eating ghosts until key points in your adventures. This game tried many new things with Pac-Man's traditional formula. They added in bosses, changing the bomb to be a home jump, and many other minor tweaks to make the game about personal preference to get the best score. It also has an amazing soundtrack behind it, from songs from the first game and new selections from this game. Really, in the end, it's a simple game given a proper facelift to appeal to a new generation of gamers. And it does so with grace and elegance. Number 4. Number 4 on this list goes to Battleborn. Battleborn was Gearbox's attempt at a game that was not Borderlands. And they took on something that was still a light RPG shooter, but they tackled another side of the RPG genre: MOBAs. And within this game, they took two approaches for their gameplay styles. The one approach is story-based game that Gearbox has had a lot of experience with. You and up to 4 allies are in a struggle to stop the end of the known universe. There's plenty of fast-paced combat with humorous dialogue that Gearbox is known for in these types of games. The major focus of the game's mechanics, though, is on the Versus mode. Treated as a traditional MOBA game. You know, your League of Legends, your Dotas, MOBA game. Everyone picks a role from the traditional MOBA team: a tank, a healer, some DPS, and some backline strikers. The game plays pretty much like an objective-based shooter with towers and bases to obliterate before the enemy does to your own base. This game, when it came out, did appeal a lot to my recent appreciation of the MOBA genre, while still keeping my love for, shooter games going. And brought it to a medium that I love more, and that most people can approach quite comfortably. Number 3. Number 3 on this list goes to a late entry in the 2016 year: Thumper. Thumper surprised me with its simple control scheme that proved to be complex the further in the game you went. Just a single button in 4 directions, but infinite control possibilities. When playing this game, I noticed something oddly unique that I don't think I've seen a rhythm game do very well, if at all. The game's rhythm element does allow you to do a call and response technique to all of the turns, thumps, and glides the game asks of you, with a 4 count between call and response. But as I was playing the game while talking with friends, I realized I could actually play the game off of reactions alone rather than through rhythmic timing. It's something that's kind of unheard of in a rhythm game. It's kind of like playing DDR on mute. But the game somehow appealed to the rhythmically gifted and to the ones that aren't all at the same time. I have been mentioning rhythm a lot, but not mentioning the game's soundtrack. I personally never really listened to EDM or trance music, but the fact that you are playing the game in time with this music makes those genres of music much easier to take in, as they aren't your sole focus. As I said, Thumper surprised me, and shot past many of the other games I had set up on this list in a heartbeat. And heck, it even bumped a couple off, so that's gotta count for something, right? Number 2. Night owls and morning birds alike, I'm staking Pokemon Sun and Moon at the number 2 slot. Considering a couple years ago, I put the 6th gen Pokemon games pretty low on my list, I'm glad I got to put this game so high up on the list for a numerous amount of reasons. This game started on a very strong note by making all of the graphics, appearances, and models a unified appearance. Gone are the chibi characters on the overworld switching to normal character models in cutscenes and battles. Everything is now the same model, making everything very easy to follow and seamless. I've actually had a couple of instances that, because there was no clear scene transition, that I didn't move thinking I was still in a cutscene. This game had also done something for people who had given up on Pokemon. It gave up either they didn't know any of the Pokemon or refused to learn what they did, and gave those people the original Pokemon back to them, but with new typings so they can have their original teams but with a fresh coat of paint. And maybe their curiosity gets to them and they try a Hawlucha or a Mudsdale. The thing about the game that makes it so good is it tried something new. Pokemon Sun and Moon killed off its tried and tested method of beat 8 gyms, then beat the head honchos of the region. The end. Good game. Here's some credits. The game now feels like an adventure. A little bit more on rails than normal, but still an adventure. Explore this new land, meet new characters, make friends with them, soak in a new culture. Try everything, or don't, and make the adventure what you want it to be. As I mentioned, there are some guide rails for progression, but you don't have to take them to enjoy yourself. I personally have spent more time finding and capturing every Pokemon on a route than I have with progressing the main story, because I'm learning all these new Pokemon as I go. I could probably fill another 5 minutes gushing about this game and everything it's done to be its own beast, but there's still that number one game I need to talk about. Before we unveil the number one game from my 2016 picks, let's go back through the list just to get a recap and see if you can figure out where I'm going with this one. Number 10 is Enter the Gungeon. Number 9 is Blitzbreaker. Number 8 is Mario Party Star Rush. Number 7 is Ruby Grim Eclipse. Number 6 is Pokken Tournament. Number 5 is Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. Number 4 is Battleborn. Number 3 is Thumper. Number 2 is Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Number 1! My number one game of 2016 is, well, pretty much everyone's. Overwatch. Overwatch came about as a failed attempt by Blizzard to make yet another MMO, and has now come to be one of the most wildly successful shooters since Team Fortress 2 and Counter-Strike Source. This game is really all that I've said on the surface, a shooter. How well can you use gun on man? But the team building within it turns it into a much greater beast than a class, objective, whatever shooters have been since the last class-based shooter in Team Fortress 2. The game, as of its most recent update, has something that everyone can enjoy, both in hero choice and game type choice. For those seeking different game types, you can be in a ladder ranking playstyle where you're playing against everyone else in the world to be the best of the best, no exceptions. There's also a quick play mode that lets you test strategies against other players without risking your rank. The modes do change drastically from there to cater to more specific need, like the 3 vs 3 arena matches, and 1 vs 1 snipers only, no scopes, headshots only matches. There's also the silly side with special rule set brawls. It's very similar to Hearthstone's Tavern Brawls. And no limits matches where anything can go, and usually play that mode just to have fun. But even in the character selection, you can choose a metagame to play on. Be that impassable wall that your foes must face to get to your allies. Run into the middle of your enemies and disorient them with distraction tactics. Strike from afar and above to break up teams. Be the dedicated healer, or hell, you can be like me and play a nice game of Jet Set Radio amongst all the chaos. The game has such a devoted fanbase as well, and a well-known development team that can keep the game refreshing, fun, and enjoyable for all skill levels of players. I've missed that in shooters since Team Fortress 2 started to fade out and people stopped playing that game as much. And that is what makes me love Overwatch so much. And that's where I said in this year's game releases. Do you agree with me on this? Or did you see any games you forgot that came out this year? Did you have a different top 10 list of your own? Please let me know. Leave a comment down below. I would love to hear what your own list from this year was. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like. It lets me know I've done a good job. Now, if you really like what I put together today, might I recommend subscribing? I release at least one video per day, usually in the Let's Play format. And sometimes I might release additional videos depending upon the subject matter within. I do want to thank you all so much for watching. And let's hope 2017 brings us even more great games.